athletes, this is Amanda Jessop with Channel Your Inner Athlete, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. I want to talk to you about a toe touch, right? It's a simple static stretch that we usually do after we're done working out. However, a lot of times it's done wrong, and if you can't actually touch the floor with your hands, it may actually mean you shouldn't be doing the deadlift exercise. I know, I hope you don't get mad at me, but one, I wanted to go over kind of the mistakes that people usually make with the toe touch, and then actually how to progress up to where you can actually do a deadlift modified even though you don't have the flexibility to touch the floor. So what you're going to do is, for a toe touch, what people usually end up doing is they bend at the spine first, which is not right, okay? The first bend that we initiate should come from the hips, okay? So let me show you what people, how it's usually done wrong. So here's what it looks like when you bend from the spine. Okay, notice the rounded shoulders, this is putting lots of pressure on the lower back, the whole spine here and the vertebrae. Okay, that's not how to do it. So when you initiate the bend from the hips, it looks like this. You're going to push the hips back. The hips are bending. You're going to reach towards the floor as much as you can. Then there might be a little bend in the spine after the hips bend, but again, the initial bend should come from the hips, not the spine. Now, if you are not flexible enough to touch the floor, you probably should be modifying your deadlift, okay? Because here's why. When you're doing a deadlift and you don't have the flexibility to push those hips back enough, all right, you're going to compensate by having those rounded shoulders in the deadlift, and when you have weight in your hands, that's actually going to put a lot of stress on your spine, which would possibly lead to injury. So here's a modification for a deadlift if you can't reach the floor with a toe touch. You can use dumbbells, a kettlebell. I like to use a kettlebell. But basically what you're going to do is elevate the kettlebell. So instead of deadlifting the kettlebell from the floor, I've actually raised it up a little bit to help me with my inflexibility with not being able to touch the floor. So and this can be on a bench, it can be on a plyo bench, anything that just elevates the kettlebell a little bit. So I've got my feet about hip distance apart here, and this is a Romanian, I'm going to demonstrate a Romanian straight leg deadlift. So now I'm pushing the hips back, keeping the back flat, chest out, reaching for that kettlebell, and now I can only have to go down so far, and I'm still able to maintain that proper spinal alignment. And then I'm going to go ahead and put it back down and come back up. And I'm going to reach for it again, and then up, and then place it back on there. So again, that's just a way to modify the deadlift, and doing it that way, you'll actually learn the mechanics better and increase that range of motion so that when you are able to touch the floor in that toe touch static stretch, you can then move up for the regular deadlift. This is Amanda Jessop with Channel Your Inner Athlete.